yourself because you're a longtime viewer. Where was the commercial at the beginning? We're putting it after. We're changing it up. Or maybe we won't. It just depends on whether Andrew remembers to record it or not. So we'll see. You're either seeing this now or next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, check
You
it
won't
out.
remember by the end of this. It's
We're trying to
fine.
switch it up so that the commercial's not quite as long because it's like a minute and a half. But we still want you to support our films, and by support I mean watch so we get paid. And then also always, as always, if you like this episode, like and subscribe. But welcome to the Bomb Squad, where we review sad movies, apparently, where we review underappreciated and overrated movies to find out whether they're really overrated. I did have someone come up to us and he was like, "Hey, this made me look at movies differently." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And he's like, "You're wrong about everything you say." And I was like, "Cool."
Is that what he said?
No,
Oh.
that'd be funny though. But yes, I'm here with my co-host William Murdoch.
Hello.
And Joshua Whitney App. The Whitney is silent.
Yeah.
As today. Oh wait, and here's a commercial. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bomb Squad. Please give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support our channel, other than that, the best way to do it right now is to watch our movies. We have the boxing documentary Humble Spirits. We have the Mexploitation thriller Borderland about missing cartel money. Those movies are both on Tubi. Also on Tubi and Screambox, you can watch the zombie drama, The Last Ones, and of course, The Empty Space, a cosmic horror about grief and loneliness. We hope you enjoy those movies. Tell us what you think if you do watch them. And of course, you can always follow my other YouTube page, which is my shorts page, to see some short films. Or just join us here. Thank you so much again, and please keep supporting the channel. All right, we're back. We're back with this.
What's up, everybody?
Again,
I thought you meant like at the end of the video, like the actual end.
That's
what I thought too.
There's also one at the end.
It's like an Marvel after the credits where there's like three of them and just coming
It's
in.
gonna be so funny if I don't have time to do this because just a lot of nonsense. But anyway, so today on the Bomb Squad, we're talking about a very particular film, a kids movie. How many kids movie have we done? We've done Coraline. I think that's it. Well, I guess the comic book movies we've done count. Mystery Men is kind of like, I saw it as a kid.
That's kind of It's not. It straddles that line though.
Yeah.
One of those late '90s PG-13s.
Yes.
Yeah.
But today we're taking you all the way back to 1989. I was only a little baby at that time.
Yeah, I was not even 1 year old yet.
Yeah. That's cool.
I was in my
Nothing But Trouble is technically a children's film, which shows you how the 80s were.
Nothing But Trouble was?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was rated like PG-13.
Wow.
Children in it. But yeah, so today we're talking about 1989's Little Monsters. Not to be confused with the other Little Monsters movie that came out on Hulu. But this movie was directed by Richard Greenberg. It was written by Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott. And it stars Fred Savage. It stars Daniel Stern. And it stars Howie Mandel in his last movie because he didn't want to make any more after this one.
I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It also stars Devin Rattray, who you don't know, but he plays Ronnie Coleman in this, which if you're a wrestling fan is a weightlifting fan is very confusing because that's one of the most famous weightlifters. So every time they'd be like, "Where's Ronnie Coleman?" I was like, "Is he in this movie?" But other fans may know him as the mean older brother in Home Alone in his breakout role.
Yes,
that character.
Nice.
He
a lot of Home Alone
yeah.
DNA in this movie.
Oh,
For
also
sure.
it has the other Savage. I forget what his name
The
is.
younger
Ben
Savage.
Oh, yeah.
That boy hadn't yet met the world, but he would eventually.
Oh my God. I didn't realize they were brothers.
Oh, you didn't realize that
Until
they're
just now.
Exactly
They
the
have
same.
the same last name and they look alike.
Oh my God, dude! What?
And they're also both
That's
in
cool.
this movie. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
family reunion. Josh,
I love that.
why don't you tell us what this movie's about?
Okay, so Fred Savage is Brian Stevenson. Very generic name.
Very kid name.
He's he's moved to a new town. He doesn't know anyone. School's bad. His parents are clearly like on the precipice of divorce.
Fighting a lot.
And then suddenly, his little brother says a monster is appearing under his bed. And he's like, I don't believe you, but I'll sleep in your room anyway. And then the monster comes for him. And he's like, I'm going to trap this monster and see what's what. And I hope wacky hijinks don't ensue.
Yeah.
But they do.
Do they?
Well, hijinks.
The idea of hijinks.
The concept of hijinks ensues.
The LaCroix of hijinks.
Here's one of the things about this movie. I saw this movie as a little kid, like a bunch, but then I would forget. Like, even as a little kid, I would forget what this movie was about. And I'd be like, wait, do I like it or not? And it's a very similar reaction to now. And B, this movie was like famously panned. Like Roger Ebert, the famous old film critic, was like, this movie's ugly and terrible, and I don't know who it was made for. And it's like, well, I kind of see where he's coming from. But
you know what's odd? I do remember seeing this, and then as I was watching, I was like, no, I haven't. And then I realized I'd only seen the last 15 minutes and extrapolated the rest of the movie from that. And it's kind of not anything like what I remember.
Right. So. Well, even from the beginning, so the movie starts off and Fred and his family are moving to this new home. And it starts off with him just sitting on a stoop, and it's black and white, and he's like talking about how everything's changed and how his parents don't really get along and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, is this movie for children? Because it's the most depressing opening of all time.
Yeah, and he's like staying up watching like late night TV, and it's like a riff on like Howard Stern, where it's like a scuzzy guy interviewing like a bikini woman. I'm like, what is this? This is like really seedy, you know?
Yeah.
He also before he gets there, he like sneaks out in the middle of the night to do stuff. And he makes himself an onion and peanut butter sandwich. Like, what the hell?
And he's the only one in the family who eats those, so obviously it was him.
Well,
which starts him getting blamed for everything.
Can we say, too, how weird it is that, because it starts with a voiceover, and Fred Savage's most famous role is The Wonder Years, which is about, like, the voiceover of him remembering youth. But the voiceover in Wonder Years is Daniel Stern, his father in this.
Yeah.
That's, such a cool. Weird... I'm like, wait, what? I was like, are these two already connected?
Yeah.
But
was Daniel Stern in Rookie of the Year?
I don't remember.
Does he play like the kid's
manager?
He
plays one of the characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they all actors play characters.
I mean, so far we've only talked about how actors have different roles. Like Josh is like, wait,
but
Stern was in this thing.
It's weird that he's Kevin's voiceover in The Wonder Years, and he's Kevin's father in this one. You know.
No, for sure.
I mean, it's not really that weird.
It's very strange.
It's that little monsters connection.
When you watch like a different Tom Cruise movie, or you're like, what is Ethan Hunt doing on this?
I do assume he's undercover, and it's part of a longer Impossible scheme.
But yes, it is fun, and I think this is made a few years before Wonder Years. But yeah, they reunited for that film. But yeah, so then he's like eating this terrible sandwich and watching terrible TV. But even the score at this point, it's like very melancholy. It's like very sad, and it's like, why does this movie feel like I thought that he was gonna have cancer or something?
Right.
The monster stuff does not start happening for 30 minutes. It's very like, you are leading into this.
Oh, I do want to say, back to the peanut butter and onion sandwich. I feel like this was a thing in the late 80s and early 90s. Like the Ninja Turtles definitely did it, where it was like, oh, you know what kids love to eat? Like gross food. They love seeing gross food. Like the Ninja Turtles would eat like peanut butter and banana pizza.
Yeah.
And it was like, and this is like kind of an extension of that. But I never understood. Even as a kid, I was like, but why? That sounds gross.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
That was like a joke that you thought you were supposed to laugh at. So you're like, I guess this is funny.
Yeah. But what? Yeah.
But it's just funny because it's weird and gross.
Yeah. So then he wakes up the next morning and there's like a mess, and he's like, that wasn't me. I did eat a sandwich, but that's not a mess. I will say also, Daniel Stern, there in the trivia, it says that Daniel Stern didn't really want to be there, and that bleeds through every single scene he's in.
He is
which
like
is good for his character. That's good for his character.
A bad dad. Other than they try to redeem it in a few. Like one of the things is he's going to work and he's backing up the car and he runs over his son's bike.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you must have left it here. You're grounded for 3 weeks." It's like, "You wrecked my bike and I'm grounded."
Yeah.
He's just like, "Yeah." It's like,
buddy.
I just that's psychotic.
See, and we'll get into it a little bit later into the movie, but I don't think that is good for his character the way he's acting. I think all of the characters, which we'll talk about in a second, are so mean in this movie that no one is likable. Including like the people we're supposed, because like if the dad was supposed to be this mean, you would think that he would like that he's the bad guy or something, but he's not. He's supposed to be like a loving dad who's
right.
Yeah, he's such a mean person.
He also
it's like, dude, your family's falling apart because of you, sir.
I did find it funny that like because they've moved in like that week, you know,
right,
and all this stuff's already happening, and then he's like, you know what? You're grounded, and you're going to clean out the garage tomorrow, and this and this. It's like, well, how dirty can the garage be? We just moved in.
Right.
There's not like stuff still in boxes.
Yeah.
And then even the mom is like, wait, maybe we like, you know, he just got his bike destroyed. Maybe we should be kind of cool. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like,
straight to jail.
Then later you hear them fighting, and she's like, all you liked before is my paycheck. She's like, well, nothing else is going on downstairs. It's like, oh my God, this is like a.
And it shows like the kid like listening in the doorway, like it's like the dark. It's just like, wow.
It's like this is like a commercial where they're like, "Help is available. Please call if your family's falling apart."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is not wacky at first. The only there's some wackiness, not like wacky, but like the way that Fred Savage is like totally like that era cool kid, like school, like I like doing my thing and I have quippy lines and this girl likes science. And it's like he's like cool guy, but I don't know. That's like the only fun that's happening at all.
You can tell it's supposed to be the cool kids because they're dressed in like multicolored bright clothes, like his love interest, like girlfriend crush. She's wearing like a hat that's like 3 different colors. She's always looks kind of like a crossing guard because like she's wearing like neon on here, but then like a regular blue here, and it's like, why is everyone dressed like this in the 90s? Like Fred Savage is always wearing a t-shirt and a button up over the t-shirt, and he plays an 8-year-old boy.
Right, like but
he's going bowling at any time.
Yeah.
He looks like your cool uncle who's like been married.
Yeah.
You ever had a beer before?
And so then he goes to school and everyone hates him.
The principal hates him even. He's like, it's your first day and you're like, he's being beaten by a bully and he's like, you started this.
It obviously has to be a known bully. Like, there's no way he's like, it wasn't my fault. Like, and then the principal freaks out on him. He like yells at him in front of the entire school.
Yeah, and then he's like, so he's in trouble, and then his brother is like scared. His little brother's scared of a monster in the bed, so he's like, "Oh, I'll sleep there." And then he goes and he like sets up booby traps, like Home Alone style, to kind of like bait the monster that he doesn't believe is real. But he's like, but just in case, I'm gonna spend 10 hours making these traps.
Yeah.
And it's like, no wonder the dad is so frustrated with you, kid, because you're not doing your homework.
I know, dude.
But you are.
He's trying to keep it together.
Yeah. So, and like, again, let me remind you that this is like 20, 30 minutes into this hour-and-a-half movie.
Mm-hmm.
Before, like, up until this point, if you didn't know, like, if you didn't see the poster or didn't know what this movie is about, you would think that this movie, like, that there's no monsters in this movie and it's about a family coping with divorce.
Yeah. But, which it kind of is at this point. That's like what the movie's about.
Yeah, it's more a hard shift than it's literally like essentially catches the monster.
Yeah.
And it is Howie Mandel going 300% the entire time, which I actually really liked Howie Mandel as a kid. I was like, was this what it was? Just him screaming very quickly, constantly.
And see, Howie Mandel is like a funny like example because he had done this already. Or no, he had Bobby's World, which was like a cartoon about his life. And then he had this movie, and it's like, was how like what part of Howie Mandel's act was for children?
Was
Because
for
it was very
yeah.
like
Right,
normal
right.
stand up. It'd be like if Kevin Hart had a cartoon about him that was for
Yeah.
children, and it's like your comedy. I mean, your comedy is a little bit like anyone can kind of watch it, but it's not geared towards children, you know. But I guess that was
Yeah.
also a thing because there was that Rodney Dangerfield movie where he plays like a cartoon dog, and it's like, well, he's not really geared towards children.
Yeah, just kind of like I don't know. There is like a Bugs Bunny-ness to his whole like
Yeah.
thing in this, where he's just very over the top, and I guess that's kind of like for kids in a way. I can't understand why he hated it though, because I know that like as a monster, he's wearing the full body makeup, and I do assume anyone in that is like having a horrible time. I think Jim Carrey said The Grinch is like one of the worst experiences of his life, just the full body.
I can imagine
like
that, yeah, for sure.
And I imagine it was even worse in the 80s, like just the
makeup
technology was even worse, so you're just like acting super high energy, like caked in like full body makeup. Just has to be
freaking
horrible.
Burning up.
Right, probably just like sweating through your eyes, you know.
Well, and that's what he said, that it was like so. And then so they filmed, which is funny. They filmed in this abandoned warehouse that they also filmed Super Mario Brothers in, another kids movie that we already covered. And it was just like a huge warehouse that had been abandoned, so there was no like air conditioning. It wasn't really like made for people to still be in there. And so he's wearing like full prosthetics all because Maurice has like at the very beginning he gets hit by light, and we find out that if you get hit by light once as a monster, it transforms you, and then if you get hit by light too much, it kills you, which doesn't make sense, but that doesn't matter. But so he grows.
And it can be any kind of light. It can be any kind of light too.
Yeah.
It can be a flashlight or sunlight.
Well, they say it's supposed to be sunlight, but then the movie does not follow that rule.
Right.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Because he tricks him with non-sunlight, but then it just hurts him anyway at other points. So it's.
And so he said that like being in that warehouse, and then just being in prosthetics all day was so terrible that he was like, "Yeah, I never want to do this again."
Yeah.
But yeah, so he meets Maurice. He's like a fun kind of like blabbermouth. He won't stop talking. This part, I don't know. I feel like if I was a kid, I would like this character.
Yeah.
Right. This is like where like the freedom is introduced. Like it's like his escape from like his bleak home life.
Yeah.
It's like he's like this kid who's like, we can do anything we want and not get in trouble.
He's so impressed that he caught him. He's like, "Oh, I've been alive for 300 years, and you're the first to ever catch me. Let me like show you around Monster Town." And Monster Town is kind of like a cross between like the Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween world and that you know, remember in Ninja Turtles, that warehouse where all the kids, it was like a skate park where they sold cigarettes? It's like those two things combined.
See, and like, okay, so before we continue, let's just get this out of the way. This movie, like, it's like that scene in Jane Silent Bob Strike Back where they pull out the lightsabers and they're like, "Oh man, George Lucas is about to sue everybody." It's like this with Pixar's Monsters Inc. Because it's like, okay, did you guys rip this shit off? But I think it's that thing where, if you think about it a lot, because I know there's a lot of comparisons to Monsters Inc., but it's that thing where it's like, how many ways can you
do the
like
monsters or
good
right,
you know? And so but the difference is like in Monsters Inc., because like Maurice is like, "Oh yeah, come down to the monster world. It's gonna be so cool. Like everyone can do whatever we want. Like it's all fun." And then you go down there and you're just surrounded by wood pallets and like garbage, and it's like, "Oh, I'm
everything looks red."
But it's like,
you know,
this guy's taking me to this place. I'm a kid.
That's what I'm saying. But like, it's the same in the Ninja Turtles, where they're like, "Look at all this cool teen skate park where we can like play arcade games and smoke cigarettes." It's like that, but it's like, this is like a nightmare. This I would want to leave immediately.
Because like in by the time you're old enough to be in the Foot Clan, you're at least like 12 or 13 years old. Like Danny is 12 years old in that film. But here, Fred Savage is like 7 years old.
Oh, yeah.
If a stranger tried to take me to a weird warehouse with a couple of video games, I'd be like, probably not, man. I'm probably going to stay here.
They also, getting back to your like, oh, gross food thing, he's like, we can eat whatever we want here. And there's just piles of disgusting food laid out in these like pallets. You're like, oh my god,
Big Mac around here or what?
Yeah,
and he's like, look, you can play a pinball game that never tilts. It's like great.
Oh yeah, there's no tilt down here. Is that
Yeah.
what he says?
Yeah.
Like an it reference or something?
I know. And it's also like before he takes him down there, the first night that he meets him, he's like he shows him the light, and then he grows the horn because he gets transformed, and then he gets him hit again because after daylight, if the monsters are stuck upstairs when the sun comes out, they die, like they cease to exist.
Yeah.
So he like the sun hits him and he turns it like
turns into
the
clothes.
first thing you do is like your clothes just go to the floor, and he's dying. And he's like, but before he's doing that, he's like melting and he's crying and he's like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm gonna die. And Fred Savage is like, I know, but my bike is broken. And it's like, this guy is a
he is so cold. He's like, so the light hurts you, huh? As he's like screaming and begging for light.
And like, it's like such Jesus. A weird sequence because it's like, why is Maurice acting this way? Because it's like, do you not know about like just general like here's how you get characters to be liked in films? It's not by watching someone slowly die and being indifferent
and like shrugging, and it, not even played as like a joke, just like that's just the sequence of events. You know, it's a very tonally strange film.
And so
I showed
like
you pinball.
And then like so. Oh, but there is some cool, like, one of the best things about this, well, we'll talk about it as they get to the monster town. But then he, like, comes back up, and he's like, hey, I'm alive, thanks for saving me, I'll see you tomorrow, and he goes back down, and Fred Savage is, like, smiling, like, and I was like, does Fred Savage like this guy? Like, is he just trying to murder him? And why does Maurice like him? Because I'd be like, hey, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to murder you tomorrow night.
And remember, I'm a monster, like, I am a villain.
I'm going to eat you as a monster that I am. So then, so then the next night they go to the monster town, and then see, this is a weird thing because I will say the best thing about this movie is how good the special effects are. Like at the very beginning, when you see Maurice, like his eyes go out of his head like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And they literally like pop out of his head. It's a very cool effect. And then like his horn growing out of his head is a really cool effect. But so then they're going through the monster town. He's like, oh, here's this monster. And everything's done in a Y. So it's like, there's like a part where he meets two kids and they're like rocking back and forth. Kid monsters, they're rocking back and forth. And they're kind of like saying something and they look like monsters. But because the film is shot so wide, you don't really see what the effect is. And you're like, are these just normal kids you guys kidnap? Like, what is like?
Yeah, because I saw kids running around. I was like, oh, do other kids come down here? But then I realized like later, it's like, no, it's all supposed to be other monsters. But you really cannot
because no one's
tell.
caught him in 300 years.
It's a movie at war with itself, really.
And there is like a cool part where he meets a guy whose feet, like he touches him on the feet, and then it zooms up and it zooms into him, and he's like, those are actually his legs. He has feet for or he has hands for legs. But it's also like, why did you make this cool ass monster, but then you shot him in a wide that nobody can see and put him in complete darkness, in some kind of pallet hell that you take children to. So then we get to the fun and games portion, and like he's eventually we'll get to people he knows, but this first little montage is just Fred Savage and Maurice like going through people, like the kids, like
they come out, they can teleport up from any bed. Every bed is Monsters Inc. style. You can come out of it. I guess Monsters Inc. it's the closet door, but in this it's just under the bed. And then they do like these pranks, like they put peanut butter on a phone.
They put a bunch of paint on a girl, and then they paint her whole house.
They track mud. They do all. And the payoff to this is you just see shots of scared kids being screamed at by adults. And I was like, I'm sorry, are you just like making kids get like abused? This is horrific.
This is like generational trauma.
There's one where a mom is like literally yelling at her daughter, and she's like, is this because I have to work so much since the divorce? And like the daughter's crying.
Dude. Oh my god.
I know. I was like, this is the payoff. You're like,
because like you think about Nightmare on Before Christmas, where they open all the like creepy gifts, but like the none of the parents are crying.
Yeah. And it's like,
They're
and
just
again,
like,
there's like dads like screaming red in the face at their kids, and you're like, yeah, I know this is like gonna be like super like ruining their life later, you know?
right.
Because they're like little kids too. It's...
Yeah. So then they eventually get to the bully's school or the bully's house. They're like, oh, and Fred
Yeah.
Savage is like, yeah, I wanna kill this bully, or I wanna do something to the bully. So they go to his house and they go into his refrigerator, and he has a tuna fish sandwich for tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And he has a cup of apple juice.
Oh,
So
dude, this part is crazy.
So then they take the tuna fish sandwich and they put cat food in it. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's pretty gross and like disgusting. And then
But wait,
he
there's
takes the
more.
apple juice and he drinks it in way too long of a sequence. And
Yeah.
and by the way, and then they're like, why are you drinking that? Apple juice is gross, which is like, that's not, apple juice is
Is it?
delicious, Fred Savage.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, here's why. And he turns around and he goes to the bathroom. We're at 25 minutes. He pisses in the thing.
Yeah.
And puts it back. And the whole time, Fred Savage is making like party time quips. He's like, he's not gonna like that. It's like, you guys should be.
You should also say they literally do the like. His ass stays in frame. He turns around. You hear the unzip. You hear him peeing in it, and then he like turns. It's like, I didn't really want to think about like the monster genitals that they do this, but now I guess that's what this movie is.
Fred Savage is like, oh, that'll teach him, and it's like, no, that's not. That's the worst.
Like
thing
you are committing sex crimes, Fred Savage.
So then the next day they go to. Yeah, he's like, "Are you turning him into a sociopath?" And then the next day he goes to school, and and they watch as this happens, or he watches as this happens.
Yeah,
and then he just kind of laughs at it, like, "Ha, we totally got him," and it's like, no, this is like, so mean.
The turn, and this is so funny because it's like, what are this movie's values? Is like the next night they go to the house of the cool girl. He's like, well, no, let's not mess with her. Like, I like her.
Yeah.
We shouldn't do this to people I personally like. We shouldn't ruin their lives. And he does anyway. He gets like a dog hand, so that's like the dog ate the homework.
Yeah, and it's like her science.
He like ruins her big science projects. Yeah. And then Fred Savage is like, wait, is this bad? But again, the movie's not really about that, honestly.
Well, then, right after that, they're like, okay, she got in trouble, and Brian's like, that doesn't sound too good. And then the parents are like, hey, come in here, audience.
Okay,
see a fun family
show. God.
They're like, by the way, we're gonna separate.
Yeah,
and Fred is like, why? Because like you guys are getting divorced. And they're like, no, we're just not gonna live together anymore. And then the kid, like the young kid, is like, "Is it for a business trip?" And it's like,
well, doesn't he also say like, "I'll be better. You don't have to do this. Like, I'll be a better kid."
Yes.
Like the young. Oh, dude, that was.
That is actually funny because before this scene, but between the wacky, we're like doing pranks, hijinks. It literally like cuts back to his house where his younger brother is at the stairs hearing the parents argue about not having sex. And you're like, don't worry, just to remind you, this horror show's still happening.
But because she says, no, she says like, oh, well, he says, you only want me for your money. And she says, well, you're never around anymore. I don't know where you got the sex part.
No, she's like the money is the only thing you're willing to give me. He's like, I have a headache at night. I'm tired.
No, that means time, you pervert.
No.
That you don't have any time to spend with your family.
It's definitely a sex thing.
I mean...
No, I would watch it again because it's definitely not. She does not say at night.
He says I can't remember, but he says they're also not doing it.
He says I have headaches at night. That's the classic. I'm not like up for sex.
Right.
Like,
for a woman, not for a man.
Well, they have a reverse gender masculinity thing going on here.
Yeah. It was too woke was the problem.
That's the one issue with this movie. It's too woke.
My friend who's too woke. Yeah. So then they get a divorce. They're all leaving, and then he escapes back to the monster world. and then they're gonna go scare a baby.
Oh, they do imply, by the way, that if he accidentally gets stuck in the monster world, he'll turn into one.
No,
I mean, they don't imply it; they straight up
scene.
say it.
Yeah,
okay.
but that's after this scene.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, okay, I want to go, or they're like, we're gonna go scare a baby, and all the monsters go, and it's like, it can't be that hard to scare a baby, guys. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then he's like, so then he's like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is cruel, and it's like, this is cruel.
Right.
If anything,
yeah.
the baby's
now we
not
crossed
gonna
the line.
remember.
Yeah.
Babies get scared all the time.
Yeah, you can traumatize the baby.
Yeah.
It's
not,
a blue monster.
Which is that is not a go ahead to traumatize babies.
No.
Yeah, please be very nice to all babies.
But all I'm saying is that babies get scared a lot because they're new to the world. But Absolutely. So then he's like, I don't want to leave, and so he tries to go out of the house, which it's also like you have to go back through the bed. You know how this works? Like you're just gonna show up in a stranger's house, like inside.
Yeah.
He opens the door and then his hand disappears, and he's like, "Oh no, my hand!" And they're like, "Oh, that's where they're like, oh, you might be becoming a monster."
Yeah.
But then, and then it cuts to, because then he like runs away, and then it cuts to Maurice because there was like this movie is a lot of plot. There's like another.
There's there's evil monsters who are worse than regular monsters.
There's the head of the monster town who's evil, but not in the same way that the other monsters are evil. Where they're like, oh, he's super evil, but we're just playful evil.
We're just like, pranksters.
You make people drink their own piss.
Like Monsters Inc., where there's the one guy who takes it too far.
Yeah, which it's like, what is he doing?
It is not Howie Mandel.
Is he straight up murdering children?
They're like,
what
hey,
could be worse?
Piss play is fine, but you better...
Like the boundaries in this movie are so...
That's the line you don't cross, is the one after piss play.
Yeah, they're like terrorizing newborns and pissing in people's drinks, and then they're like, but that guy's bad. It's like, so he's just murdering people is the only option he could be doing. So then... there's a main bad guy who's named the Boy or something, and he has a henchman, and the henchman's like, hey, his name's Brian, but the henchman's like, you were supposed to turn Eric into a monster. We almost had him, and it's like, did you guys almost had him? Because he kept going home. But then Maurice is like, oh, I know, I should have, but I couldn't. Like, we have to let him live his own life. And it's like, wait, Maurice knew about this plan? And he was like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, he's like,
So you were a predator the whole time.
I was going to abduct him, but I just decided that he's actually kind of cool because he liked watching me piss into drinks.
Yeah.
He let me be free. He let me be weird.
I feel like Josh was watching a very separate version of this movie. He was hearing what he wanted to hear. And so it's like, and I think that's my main issue. Well, we'll get to it more. So then he's like, oh, we need to go get him. So they're like, go kidnap. He's like, I'm going to go kidnap him. So he goes to the house. I just remember, like, it's like, hey, how was that? You're like driving your kids back from the mall in 1989. You're like, how was the movie? It's like, well, they pissed in someone's food and then they kidnapped a child.
I will admit, I was somewhat checked out by this portion of the movie. It was.
I'm hazy on the plot at this point.
It was that you know what it was. Not even the pissing thing. We didn't even cover this, but when he first gets to the monster HQ, so like 40 minutes in. Howie Mandel's like, wait, what's the password to get in? Oh, I remember. And he farts really loudly and the door opens. And I was just like, ugh. And after that, the movie had kind of lost me and never got me back. I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be. So during this part, I was really struggling. I'm like, okay, now the monster's like abducting him. Like, but the bad monster does go to seal him away.
Yeah, and he kidnaps his baby, or his baby brother.
His little brother,
Right.
And then so he goes and gets help from one of his friends, who's honestly like not in the movie that much up until this point. I feel like they just needed.
They needed another kid for like the chase sequences.
Who wasn't the girl, And so he goes and gets him, and he's like, "I need all the flashlights. Come with me." And then they go get the girl. And so they're like, oh yeah, go. And also like there's an earlier scene where the girl is always hanging around with him and they talk like every single day and they walk through the halls together. And then like when they go to her room to look through her stuff, like she has like a picture of them together and she's like, oh, this is my favorite picture or something. And he's like, wait, she likes me? Like she wants me to be my friend? I thought I didn't have any friends. And I was like, you guys hang out together every single day. When I was a kid, if I saw someone and we hung out for like 2 seconds, we would be best friends for like the rest of the year. Like that's how like you make so many friends.
Exactly.
Because it's just whoever's around.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so then they go get the girl and like and then there was a scene where he's like explaining like we got to go into this thing and she's like, this doesn't make sense science wise because I'm a nerd. It's the 80s.
Yeah.
And so then he's like,
I'm a hacker.
Yeah. He's like, let me show you. And so he jumps under the bed and he like disappears. I thought it would have been very funny if he had like jumped on the bed and he just fell on the floor and like broke his nose. I mean, the movie's so mean up until this point.
Like it doesn't work, but I guess he is part monster at this point, so that's how he can kind of. That
is this when he saws the beds?
Oh no,
that was
no, because he's like done with it, so he saws off the legs on his bed, so he's like the monster can't get me. But then the brother's sleeping on the couch bed, and they can come up from that.
Right.
Well, so it's
and then because he's like, but it's also like he starts sawing off the beds, and then like, one of the mom's friends comes in to visit, who we've never seen before, but doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and he's like, she's like, oh, how's everyone taking it? They're like, the kids are good. And I was like, the kids are good. And he's like, well, the younger son, he doesn't really remember things. And the older one, he's cutting off like he's sawing off the legs of the bed. And you're like, it's supposed to be like a funny joke. Like, actually, they're not doing good. But it's like, yeah, but you're the mom. Like,
they know.
Right, yeah. You should be talking to your son about sawing off the bed legs.
Like, you know that the kid's going through a rough time, so you should be like, oh, it doesn't matter. And
you don't invite your friend over to see the sad, the awful.
And also, like, how does Fred Savage know that that's gonna work? Because when he first meets Maurice lifts the entire bed over his head by like 10 feet. Just to show he can do it. So it's like, I don't think the problem is how high the bed is.
The rules are not terribly consistent.
They're not established.
Let's be honest.
But it works, and that's why they have to kidnap the younger brother.
Right. Yeah. And then they're like, we have to save my brother. Yeah. So they all descend with a bunch of like Christmas lights and whatnot into the underworld.
Yeah.
To cause havoc.
And so then we finally meet the main bad guy.
The boy.
That's his name.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and he's like, he looks like a politician. Which to me is like, I feel like it was the same company who did the effects that did the Beetlejuice effects. And I honestly wonder if a lot of this stuff is
just like
stuff
leftover
that he wanted to do for Beetlejuice and didn't have the time or something. Because like, there's some cool, like there's like a pumpkin man who's like alive. But then like this guy is so horrific. Well, like they rip off his face and he has like a monster face underneath. He's so scary looking that it's like, you designed this for I don't want to keep harping on the fact that it's a kids movie, but Jesus Christ, it's
I know, dude.
It's so terrifying.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, oh yeah, here's some lights. So they hit him with lights and he's immediately destroyed. And so they're like, we gotta find our brother. So then they start like going and looking for stuff. Oh, and then they get the bully to help at one point. He's like, I'm helping too. So they're like, all right, cool. So then they're just like going through and like hitting everyone with powerful lights. There's a part where they're just chasing around people, like hitting them with lights. But it's this Force Awakens problem where it's like, well, you know that their whole goal is to kidnap children, bring them down here, and then turn them into monsters. So like, you're torturing...
Other children, right.
This monster cult. Like any implication in this movie leads it to such a horrifying consequence.
There's
just like
Josh's
screaming if they're dying.
It takes it to a very sexy place, but everyone else,
a sexy warehouse on the edge of town with
like,
no
AC. there's all these sexy monsters and the dad's not giving the mom anything. You know that.
They've been here for years,
the mom.
Kidnap
that hot ass mom.
That's the implications.
Come on. Don't cut her bed legs off just yet.
Yeah, she needs those bed legs.
That could have been the good ending, is the monsters taking the mom down. So she's like, I can stay as long as this is happening.
Yeah. Howie Mandel and the mom should have gotten together. That would have been the ultimate ending.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
But question about the couch though. So obviously the beds are portals to the underworld or whatever. That's where they can come from. Is a couch always a portal, or does it only become a portal once you pull out the bed?
When it becomes a bed. Well, the end of the movie kind of goes there.
Like,
so
in the movie, up until this point, it's implied that it has to look at least kind of like a bed, because the couch didn't work. It was only until they opened it and made it into a bed.
Right.
But having said that, they almost immediately by the end of the movie completely disregard that plot point. But it's not the point. So then they find the little kid, which is kind of funny because this scene, like, they open the door and like you can tell, like, Ben Savage is trying to act his little kid off, because he's like, oh, but they have to move quickly because the plot needs them to run away. So he's like, okay, let's go. It's like, was anyone directing this movie, or did they just turn the cameras on?
I think it was Ben Savage was behind the camera.
I know. And it was like, okay, they're all dying of black mold in that abandoned warehouse.
Oh my god, I'm sure.
So then they're like running because they only have a few minutes before sunlight, and if they get caught under sunlight, they immediately become monsters. Which is like, again, it's like, okay, why don't you just take a kid at 5:59 and just leave him for 2 minutes and he's trapped there? You don't have to do all this like trying to get him.
Maybe you gotta ease him into it, or
well, no, because they'd all be trapped there as
well. No, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
They're like, we only have 2 minutes left. We gotta get out of here. And then the henchman is like, I put myself back together for somehow. I guess we're indestructible, and I'm not gonna stop you. And then Maurice like comes out with a flamethrower. And see, they should have made Maurice kind of like the Mask. You know, like he puts his pocket in and he pulls out like a hammer or something. This way, it would make sense. But everything is very like, I mean, they're monsters, but it's all very grounded in reality, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they don't ever do anything, like, other than that eye thing, they don't do anything, like, super otherworldly.
Not very cartoony,
Yeah, they just seem like monsters who, like, just look like that.
Just look weird, yeah.
Yeah.
That's their defining characteristic.
Yeah, so he brings them out with a flamethrower and he shoots them. Once upon a time in Hollywood style. And then he's like,
similar films.
And you see him catch on fire and fall over dead. And it's like, again, good. This is a good choice for children's film. But then, because you're like, oh, the movie's over. And you're like, no, it's not. Still alive.
Yeah.
So they're like, we missed the deadline. And he's like, okay, well, let's go through time. Like, let's hit the other time zones, because other places.
It's still
dark.
Which is funny, because that would mean you're never in danger, because it's always the sun. It's always
you can go
night
anywhere in the
somewhere.
world.
Yeah.
You could just pop up in like the Philippines or something.
Yeah.
You know,
right. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
And also they go this way, like towards the west, because
they're going to Malibu, California.
Yeah.
And so they're going. Well, they're trying, because they try Phoenix and they try a couple of other places, but they like miss it. And so they eventually end up in Malibu. But yeah, they should have gone the other way, because then it would have been like hardcore nighttime. Like they'd woken up in like China. Wouldn't it be like the night before?
But they come out of this bum's like sleeping bag essentially, or what is it?
On the beach.
It's somehow they just kind of get out from under him. I don't even...
Which is like, so it doesn't have to be a bed, I guess, if you're a bum.
Just has to be someone sleeping on what they personally consider a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be like a dream going on somewhere.
And see, this is funny because I clearly just saw the last 10 minutes of this movie when I was a kid. So I was like, oh yeah, it's like a globe-trotting adventure where they're like going everywhere. Like, nope, just this 5 minutes. Just this part.
Yeah. And also, like, again, it's just a weird, like, it's a bum, and then they're like, oh, sorry, mister, but he's still like a bum. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't they pick so like, why couldn't they have one of their friends be like, "Hey, I'm going out of town this weekend," and they end up under his bed or something? Like, it's such a weird...
I like the bum thing. It's kind of
got to
charming.
punch down.
It's like a funny end, but I don't like what led to it. I guess
it's just weird to be like, isn't it funny? This guy's a bum.
Yeah. It even works on
I guess
not
it's
real
like,
beds.
because it's like, oh, we want to show it's California, but who would be asleep on the beach?
Right.
Just a bum,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
But yeah, so then they leave and then they like go to a payphone. Oh well, then Brian and Maurice, he's like, I have to go now. He's like, keep my jacket. I'll always be around. And it's like, to kidnap me again and try to turn me into...
Yeah. This has been the worst few days of my life, sir.
Yeah. This has been nothing but pain for everyone that I know.
My dad's on a bender sleeping down at the beach. He won't even talk to the family.
And then also, it implies that this tragedy has gotten the parents back together. Unfortunately for Josh, it doesn't show whether they
Have they
rekindled their intimacy.
But other than that, it shows that they're back together. And then Fred Savage just calls him on the payphone. Is like, "Hey, Mom, we're in Malibu. Funny story." And it's like, if you tell the story and you don't mention, or even if you just call them monsters but you don't give their description,
it sounds like you were abducted and driven.
Well, right. A man named Maurice was under my bed.
Yeah, it sounds like that because that's exactly what happened. Right.
Yeah, I guess it literally is. It's like, but don't worry, one of our kidnappers burned the other one alive and we were able to get away.
And this one is cool. This guy's fine.
Yeah.
He took us to the Monster Land
Don't
warehouse.
go looking for him. He's fine. We're okay now.
Yeah. Because he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, so he killed the main ones. Did he have a change of heart? It's like, not really. Just about us in particular.
Yeah. He's still going to be like perpetuating child abuse with like pranks. I guess that's his job.
It's not over.
He never says that he's going to stop kidnapping children and trying to turn them into monsters.
Yeah.
He just says he won't kidnap the four of us. So
yeah,
I guess that is, in a large way, that is a little bit better than he was at
right, because
they Stockholmed him.
It's not like the end of Monsters Inc. where like they've defeated the bad monster and then they realize like, oh, children's laughter is better than fright, so now we're gonna like help children. It's just kind of like, no, we defeated this one guy. We're still monsters. Like, this is still our job.
Right.
Okay, so now that we're at the end of this movie, I think, like, because a lot of the reviews, like, positive reviews of this movie are always like, oh, I liked back then when movies for kids could be more adult and even scary. And, like, they trusted the kids to kind of be on board with it. Which I'm a huge fan of that. I mean, the movies that we've covered on here are in that vein, like where it's almost like, is this a kid's movie? Like even People Under the Stairs, which I saw as a kid, it's like not technically a kid's movie. It's pretty scary,
Yeah.
But this one, it's like, it's so mean spirited.
Yeah.
It's like the problem isn't
dark,
that it's
emotionally
too scary for children. The problem is that it's too kind of depressing for anyone who wants to watch it. Like, it's so mean and it's so sad, like. I just could not get into any part of it. Like like Fred Savage. If everyone of all the monsters and friends were kind of copying Fred Savage's lead, I think the movie would have worked better because he is kind of doing it like, whoops, we're like doing fun pranks, but it's like, the pranks are so mean.
They're so mean. Right. Every adult is so mean and angry all the time. And it's just like, it's just tonally, it just feels, I don't know. And then Howie Mandel's thing is super wacky. And then like, it's like he's going too far in the other direction. It's not like kind of the same balance,
And it's kind of funny because every joke that I laughed at in this movie was Fred Savage. Like, it's weird how not funny Howie Mandel is. Like, he just has a lot of energy. But he never like says anything very funny.
Right, like you're saying, like he's not Mass Spike at all. Like he doesn't like really capitalize on like the situation.
It's kind of a Jar Jar thing where he's just kind of pratfalling every 2 seconds, and you're just like, stop, like please tone it down.
Like the jokes are like he'll like
whoa, it's like that,
or he'll do the shoe thing and like ruin someone's carpet, and then he's like, or when they piss in the jar, he's like, he's gonna be pretty pissed, and it's like, even if I was on
Got
board
him.
with this prank, it's a pretty poor
Yeah.
quality joke, you know. Like, what is this
Yeah.
supposed to be?
I think the most you'll get out of this movie is if you really love like practical effect production design stuff. It does have a lot of good like that, like the monster like costumes and stuff when they're not shot in a wide, so you can see what's going on. Like when he does the dog hand, I'm like, that's like a cool effect. You know, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of
for
cool
sure.
like little things like that.
And I almost wonder, like, I think if they had, I mean, there is a story to tell where it's like, oh, the kids are, or the parents are having a rough time. They might be like kind of getting a divorce or whatever, because that does happen. And it's like, and the kid
Sure.
retreats into this fantasy world. But I think the thing is that the fantasy world actively makes the kid a worse person every time we go there. And then he never really like, there's never that scene again like in Monsters Inc. where they realize like, oh, this is bad, we gotta stop
Right. Yeah.
doing this and like figure out another way because these are real people. There's never that scene where he's like, oh man, I was being a jerk, I should kind of like be nicer to my parents or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very
Understanding
cynical.
more as
It's
people.
like the late 80s cynical like shrug, life sucks. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh,
Like
I
even
guess
like
just hate it. I don't know.
like even like Josh was saying, like maybe if Maurice had found like, oh, actually we can open a bar or like a club for kids, and then we don't have to we can be upstairs without a costume or whatever, like something like that. Where at the end they like change their ways, but no, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Some implication things will get better, and
Yeah,
all you really have is the parents being like, "Oh, we're so glad our kidnapped children are back. I guess we'll stay together because of this."
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
The
And then
kids
also
can't
it's like
get
they're gonna
kidnapped.
ask the
Oh, go ahead.
right. Like they're gonna like ask the kids a bunch of times like what happened. And they're gonna tell the story about this like crazy monster. And the dad's gonna be like, "You won't stop fucking lying about your life. I'm out of here."
Right.
Fred Savage.
He was
Like,
like,
it's just gonna make things worse.
He's like, a man has been in this house, wife. Is that why you don't want to touch me anymore?
Yeah. Is that why all the legs on the fucking beds are off?
Yeah. He's like, and your son said he was a monster.
He's like, you're doing something to the apple juice, and I've developed a taste for it. What is this?
he just like that would have been a thing.
They crave it though.
He's just, like at first he drinks like a bottle of apple juice, but by the end he's just drinking apple juice.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what it is about this. It's so good.
He's like,
Like a garden hose egg.
It's activated some part of me. Something I've always wanted but never knew.
And then at the end, once the monsters leave him alone, it's just him like searching through grocery stores, like opening apple juices like every single one.
No. You know what I actually? What is funny? We didn't say this, but because when the bully like eats the sandwich and then drinks the apple juice, he like vomits. But he's like, someone pissed in this. It's like, how is that? How do you know? Like, how is that?
Right.
How do you know what that tastes like to immediately recognize what happened to
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think like I'm very surprised because going into this movie, I was like, oh, this might be one of those movies that nobody talks about, but it's like, oh, this is super inventive and kind of like, which it is. I mean, it is inventive. It is kind of like, it's one of those movies where you kind of feel like Monsters Inc., which came out later, of course, but it does feel like kind of takes a lot of its mojo, like stuff that should feel individualized or like should feel like, oh, that's a smart way, because they do it in Monsters Inc. It just kind of, it's kind of like when I saw Rosemary's Baby for the first time, even though it was the first time I'd ever seen it, so many other movies had taken from Rosemary's Baby.
Right.
Yeah,
you're like, I've already seen like
this
the version of this that idealized this.
Yeah, and so I think it's like, I don't know, even like when we saw Super Mario Brothers, which kind of has that same kind of feel to this, which is funny, they were filmed in the same place. Even Super Mario like recognizes like, no, the brothers should be likable. Like the brothers should have jokes that are funny.
The core of that movie works. It just doesn't. It doesn't like go out.
You know what? I'm gonna do one thing, and they would have saved this movie and made it a hit classic.
Okay.
You take out Howie Mandel, and you put a little man named Jim Carrey in that exact same role. That movie would have been amazing.
Bada bing.
I could see. I mean, you still kind of need the villain stuff to work better and the parent stuff to be less depressing. But yes, you need that core relationship, and you really don't have it between the boy and monster.
Right.
Yeah,
and you need to be sad when the monster has to let the boy go. You don't need to be like, oh, thank God.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Thank God he doesn't have to get stuck in that hellhole that the rest of them live in. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was cool. Go check it out, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
I would not.
You don't have to.
I would not check it out. I would. I would watch Monsters Inc. That is a much better children's film about monsters.
This movie makes Monsters Inc. look like Monsters University.
Maybe do what I did as a kid, where just find this on. I think it's on Peacock right now, streaming. Yeah. Go to the last 10 minutes and then try to imagine what the rest of the movie's like, because it'll be much better in your head than what it was, and then you can kind of have those like fake memories.
Yeah. Instead of watching this movie, make up another movie is our recommendation.
But the last 10 minutes could be the last 10 minutes of a better film.
Yeah, watch.
Just pull out your journals.
Yeah, watch The Princess Bride. That's a good Fred Savage.
That's a good one. Oh yeah, we got some more Savage. Yeah.
We just got savaged.